I never intended for my Sunday evenings to feel like rehearsals for someone I had yet to become. But there I was, kneeling on the thin rug in front of the living room mirror, the late autumn light sliding across my knees like a patient hand. The mirror was cheap, frameless, one of those things you buy when you move in alone and convince yourself it's temporary. It had become, over the last year, a doorway.
My name is Marco.
By day I manage accounts for a small architectural studio, neat lines, tidy budgets, deadlines that respect no one. I can explain beams and load paths to a client and make them feel like the future of their house depends on me. I am orderly, efficient, a man who drinks black coffee and forgets birthdays until there's a Facebook reminder. That version of me is safe. That version fits the shirts and the expectations and the small-town clichés I was raised on. But there is another version that lives in the bottom drawer of my dresser and in the soft click when heel meets hardwood. It's the version that appears when the apartment is quiet and the city feels remote, the version I sometimes call Mara, sometimes just her in my head.
Mara isn't bravado.
She is a careful, private thing. A pair of stockings kept in a showbox, a lipstick in a velvet case, the scent of Isabella's perfume on a scarf I'd borrowed one night and kept because it smelled like courage.
Cross-dressing for me began small. I'm not reckless.
It started as a secret experiment, curiosity in the shallow hours, an attempt to see how different the world felt through someone else's silhouette. At first it was about aesthetics, how my shoulders softened beneath a blouse, how a curved hip line could be created with a simple tuck and a borrowed belt.
Then it became about feeling.
The first time I applied mascara I expected nothing more than a novelty. Instead I discovered a new breath, a different posture. I felt a confidence that had nothing to do with work accomplishments and everything to do with the way light caught the cheekbone I had just learned to accent.
This was not a rebellion against Isabella.
I love her in ways that are patient and stubborn. Isabella is a collage of contradictions, a passionate ceramicist who leaves clay fingerprints on everything she touches, a linguist who can make a verb conjugation sing, and the sort of person who sees a Subway ad and imagines a story behind it. She is warm, fierce, and occasionally tactless. She loves the way I make coffee for two even when she refuses sugar. We met at a mutual friend's gallery opening 2 years ago. She spilled her wine on my shoe and then apologized with a joke that made me laugh until my eyes watered. We fell into a rhythm, shared weekends, grocery lists, and the small, domestic rituals that turn a place into a home.
Isabella doesn't know about Mara.
She knows, vaguely, that I have an aesthetic streak. She once teased me for buying a scarf that matched her favorite vase, and she adores the odd, surprising things I do. But she would never expect that her partner could also be someone who practiced walking in heels in the living room after midnight. My secret is not born of deception alone. It is an intimate part of me I've not yet learned to translate into words. I fear her reaction, the risk of losing what we have, and I fear myself, the possibility that my private yearning will demand more than safe, occasional evenings.
Tonight the apartment feels like a held breath.
The studio desk still holds blueprints and an empty takeaway box. Isabella is out at a commission event for her ceramics. She left with a kiss and an absent-minded request to bring home something sweet. She thinks I'll be watching old films with the volume low.
She thinks I'll be asleep long before she returns. The truth, I planned this evening.
I'd swept the kitchen, dimmed the lamps, and lined up an outfit on the bed like a ritualistic offering. An ink-black dress that skimmed the knee, a pair of heels I'd bought online and walked around the apartment in until the straps loosened to familiarity, a strand of pearls that had once belonged to my grandmother and smelled faintly of lavender.
There is a rhythm to the ritual.
First, I shave the stubborn stubble close so the jaw doesn't cast an unkind shadow. Then I apply a light foundation, careful with blending so the skin reads softer on camera and in the mirror. Makeup feels like drawing a map for other people to read, but tonight I map it only for myself. I practice the smile, tilt my head to see how the light catches the cheek, and turn to the neck where the pearl necklace will sit. With each small detail I become more honest to the person who waits inside me, less performance, more permission.
But permission carries its own terror.
The city is at once anonymous and intimate, neighbors know each other's comings and goings, and Isabella's friend Louisa lives across the hall and is the sort of person who notices patterns. My phone buzzes on the couch, a work email, a calendar reminder, a text from Isabella saying she'll be late.
The message behaves like a lifeline.
Deep down I want the assurance that she won't return early, that the night will remain mine. Practicality and desire are entangled. Every text is a possibility and a threat. There are small props that have become symbolic. Isabella's navy cardigan draped over the sofa that I sometimes borrow when I need her warmth, the mirrored compact she left behind, which I now keep on the coffee table next to my own cheap mirror, a stray lace glove I fished out of a thrift store bin and kept because it felt like a secret handshake with myself. When I slide onto the couch in heels and adjust the hem, I feel both ridiculous and entirely true. My hands tremble just enough to make the mascara wand a steadying ritual. My inner voice is a chorus, part excitement, part pragmatic fear. The excitement is the clearer song, the thrill of silk under fingers, a softness of identity that has nothing to do with my job title, the way music sounds fuller when I dance alone in the living room in stockings. The fear is quieter but heavier. What if Isabella found out and the look in her eyes was not the one I fall asleep in? What if the friends who love us see me as a lie rather than an honest self? I weigh outcomes like coins, imagining conversations that would strain into something unrecognizable.
Still, secrets have logic of their own.
They invite risk by promising reward. If I'm honest with myself, my late-night rehearsals are not only about escape. They are practice for being brave. I am learning how to stand in both versions of myself without collapsing into self-mockery. In the hush of the apartment, with the kettle forgotten on the burner and a film paused mid-scene, I arrange the pearls at my throat and breathe. The city hums beyond the windows, indifferent. Inside, I discover the small miracle of fitting into something that feels like home. As the minute hand creeps forward, the phone buzzes again, this time a short voice note from Isabella. Her laugh is in it, warm and alive. I'm running later than I thought.
Don't wait up. Love you. The voice note locks my chest in a way that is both relief and a new kind of terror. She won't be back for hours.
The living room suddenly seems vast, a stage balanced precariously between safety and exposure. This could be an evening of quiet, private truth. Or, in one unpredicted moment, it could become the moment everything changes. I stand and look once more at the mirror before stepping into the dress. The reflection shows two people layered on top of each other, Marco with his rationed calm, and Mara with her subtle, urgent smile.
Neither is complete without the other.
I don the dress, feel the fabric settle, and let the heels click on hardwood. Each step a tiny defiance, each click a quiet confession.
The night is set.
The stakes are invisible but real. Somewhere beyond the walls, the city keeps turning. Inside, I practice being someone who is not me anymore. The dress whispered against my legs as I moved. Each step across the living room floor was a rediscovery, a new grammar of balance. The fabric hugged my hips in ways both unfamiliar and intoxicating. I caught my reflection in the mirror, chin slightly lifted, shoulders drawn back, the pearls glinting like tiny moons. For the first time all week, the face looking back at me wasn't the one from the office or the grocery store.
It was Mara.
The room had changed too. The lamplight had softened, turning gold instead of white. The faint hum of the refrigerator sounded like background music to a movie I didn't realize I was starring in. I turned in a slow circle, testing how the skirt flared, how the heels forced me to move deliberately, how the weight of my own reflection shifted with every gesture.
I didn't feel ridiculous anymore. I felt alive.
It was strange how the smallest details, the brush of the hem, the coolness of lipstick, could unspool something so enormous inside me. My hands, painted with a faint shimmer from Isabella's old nail polish, trembled as they traced the necklace.
It wasn't vanity. It was recognition.
I imagined telling Isabella. Would she laugh? Would she see me as an experiment or as someone finally being honest?
The thought made my stomach twist.
I'd rehearsed those conversations in my head before, always with different outcomes. Sometimes she was understanding, touched by my vulnerability. Other times, her silence felt like a verdict.
I wasn't ready to risk it. Not yet.
The music from my playlist shifted to something slower, soft piano, familiar chords. I had played it hundreds of times before, but tonight it felt different.
I danced.
Tentatively at first, my steps small, the rhythm awkward. Then, as if the fear burned off with each beat, I moved more freely. I twirled, the skirt lifting just enough to show the shimmer of the stockings beneath. I laughed, an involuntary, bubbling sound that startled me.
For a moment, there was no Marco.
No hesitation.
No guilt.
Only Mara, moving through light and shadow, smiling at her own reflection.
But the laughter died quickly when I saw my phone flash again on the couch. My pulse spiked. Isabella.
I lunged for it, heels clattering across the wood, my heart hammering. The message preview glowed on the screen.
Hey, babe. Change of plans. The event ended early.
I might head home soon.
Soon. My breath caught.
The word soon could mean 10 minutes, or 30. The room suddenly felt too bright, too exposed. My reflection no longer looked confident but cornered. I froze, dress halfway caught under my arm, the soft fabric twisting like a question I couldn't answer. If she came home now?
I glanced around the room. The mirror. The open makeup kit.
The heels that left visible marks on the rug.
I could hide some of it, but not all.
The lipstick stain on my coffee mug would give me away instantly. I took a shaky breath and grabbed a towel from the counter, wiping the lipstick off as best I could. The color smeared into a faint pink haze.
My mind raced. Could I change back in time?
Remove everything, stash it away, and be Marco again before she turned the key? My hands shook so hard I almost dropped the pearl necklace as I unclasped it. The clasp snagged in my hair, the delicate chain tightening around my throat for a moment before it came loose. The sensation made my pulse quicken even more, half panic, half the strange rush of adrenaline that always came when I teetered too close to being caught. I caught my breath, clutching the pearls. The absurdity of it hit me. I was terrified, but there was something electric in the fear. Something dangerously addictive. Was that what this was really about? Not just expression, but the thrill of exposure? I didn't have time to untangle the thought. I peeled the dress off carefully, folding it into the drawer, but the zipper caught halfway, stuck on the seam. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it over the ticking of the wall clock. Then, silence. For a moment, I thought I heard footsteps in the hall. I froze, half-dressed, hair disheveled, makeup smudged. The sound was just the elevator doors closing. I laughed, quiet, breathless, and close to tears. I was unraveling from my own paranoia. "Get a grip, Marco," I whispered. The voice didn't sound like mine anymore. Softer. Warmer. Maybe I didn't want it to be. I stared at the mirror again, at the faint smear of lipstick still clinging to my lips.
Marco would wipe it away. Mara would fix it. I chose the latter.
Slowly, deliberately, I sat back down and reapplied the lipstick. The act felt like defiance. My reflections steadied again.
My heartbeat slowed.
If Isabella was coming home, then let her.
Maybe it was time.
Maybe the pretending had lasted long enough. But then the phone buzzed again. "Actually, I'm grabbing a drink with Sophia before heading back. You okay?" I exhaled sharply, almost laughing with relief.
"I'm fine," I texted back. My reflections smirked at me. "Too fine," I murmured. Relief gave way to exhilaration. The fear had burned off, leaving only adrenaline and possibility. Maybe I could push this further. I walked toward the window and parted the curtain slightly, peering out at the street below. The city was still awake, car lights sliding through puddles, distant laughter, a siren fading into the distance. The world out there didn't know me. It didn't care if I was Marco or Mara. That realization sent a shiver through me. What if I stepped outside, just for a minute? The idea was reckless, almost insane. But it didn't leave my mind. It lingered, pulsing with temptation. The hallway beyond my door was empty. I could slip out, walk a few steps, breathe in the night air, and come back before anyone noticed. My hand hovered over the lock. The rush in my chest was almost unbearable. One step. Just one. I turned the knob slowly. The hallway was dim, the air faintly scented with cleaning polish. I could hear the hum of the building's heater, the flicker of a light that hadn't been replaced. I stepped out. The heels clicked softly against the tile, each sound impossibly loud in the silence. I felt like I was walking through someone else's dream. A door opened somewhere down the hall. I froze. Voices. Two of them. Laughter. I panicked, heart thudding, and darted back inside, closing the door silently behind me. Then I leaned against it, chest heaving, and began to laugh, softly at first, then helplessly. I wasn't caught. Not yet. But the danger was real. And the thrill of that danger, it was unlike anything else. My pulse still hadn't settled when I sank onto the couch again. The door was shut, but the sound of my heartbeat filled the silence. I could still hear the echo of my heels from the hallway, sharp, quick, guilty notes fading into nothing. I pressed my palms to my face and laughed shakily, half from nerves, half from relief. "What are you doing, Marco?" I whispered to myself. The name felt wrong. It didn't fit the moment, the makeup, or the soft fabric still clinging to my skin. My reflection in the window didn't answer. It just stared back, faint and luminous against the dark city outside.
The adrenaline refused to fade. I felt it in my chest, my fingertips, the way my breath came shallow and uneven. Every cell in my body was awake. I realized then that this wasn't just about dressing up. It wasn't just an escape. It was a test, a dangerous dance between fear and freedom. I walked back to the mirror, studying the traces of who I'd become tonight. The lipstick was perfect again, but my eyeliner had smudged slightly from the rush outside. I fixed it with a Q-tip and smiled faintly. The smudge had almost looked like a tear. Maybe it was one. I thought of Isabella. Of her laughter, her scent, her art-covered hands. Would she even recognize this person staring back at me? Or would she see a stranger standing in her boyfriend's place? My phone buzzed again. I jumped. Isabella, Sophia's place is loud. I might crash here tonight. Don't wait up. Love you. I let out a long, slow exhale. The room tilted slightly with the relief. I had the whole night now. No ticking clock. No footsteps outside the door. I was alone with my secret. And for once, I didn't have to be afraid of it. I crossed to the bedroom, flicking on the lamp. The bed looked empty and enormous. On the dresser, Isabella's jewelry box gleamed faintly. My fingers brushed the lid before I even realized what I was doing. Inside were treasures, silver rings, a pearl hairpin, a few delicate bracelets she rarely wore because she said they were too proper. I ran my fingers through them until I found a thin silver bracelet with tiny hearts etched into it. I slipped it over my wrist. It caught the light, a small, dangerous thrill. Her world and mine, overlapping. When I looked back in the mirror, something had shifted. I didn't see a man pretending anymore. I saw Mara, hesitant, yes, but real, whole. I moved closer, letting the light fall across my face. Every line, every curve, every imperfect detail became part of the person I was learning to recognize. And then, without warning, my mind flashed with a memory. Last week. Dinner with Isabella. Her eyes had lingered on me, not with suspicion, but with a curious tilt, like she was studying something she couldn't quite name. You've been different lately, she'd said between bites. Softer, maybe? I don't know. I kind of like it. I had smiled then, trying to look casual, but my heart had raced. I'd brushed it off with a joke about stress at work. She'd let it go, or pretended to. Now that moment returned, sharp and vivid. What had she really meant? Was it a compliment? A suspicion? A flicker of unease rippled through me. What if she had noticed small things, the faint smell of foundation, the tiny shimmer that even soap couldn't entirely remove from my fingers? Had she suspected? The thought both terrified and thrilled me. I sat on the edge of the bed, bracelet glinting under the lamp. My pulse quickened again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was curiosity, the same curiosity that had driven me to try on her cardigan for the first time, to see what it felt like when softness replaced stiffness, when color replaced control. My mind wandered. I imagined Isabella seeing me as I was now, the dress, the heels, the painted lips. Would she scream? Would she walk out? Or would she stare for a moment too long, trying to understand? That image lingered in my mind, her wide eyes, her silence, her confusion turning to something else. I couldn't tell what. Pity? Admiration? Maybe recognition. The thought made my heart ache. I turned toward the nightstand, opened the drawer, and found my small notebook, the one I used to sketch designs for work. The pages were filled with lines and measurements, blue ink and precision. But between the work notes, there were hidden sketches, dresses, silhouettes, half-finished portraits of faces I never dared to show anyone. I flipped through them now, tracing the lines of a figure that looked almost like me, but softer, freer. The handwriting beneath it read, "Not me. Not anymore." I didn't even remember writing that. But it felt prophetic. The hum of the fridge broke the silence. The night stretched long and heavy. I decided to move, to do something, anything, to keep from drowning in my thoughts. I went to the kitchen and poured a glass of wine. The first sip burned slightly, grounding me. The taste was sharp and honest. I turned the dim lights down even lower and put on one of Isabella's playlists, soft, cinematic music that made the air feel thick with mood. I danced again, slower this time. The room seemed smaller, more intimate. The reflection in the mirror swayed with me, alive and breathing. I caught sight of myself in profile. The curve of the dress, the glint of the bracelet, the faint rise of a smile. This was the version of me that had waited for years in silence. The one who'd sat through business meetings imagining what silk felt like under light. The one who'd stared at women not with envy, but with a quiet yearning to understand what it meant to move through the world that way. Now, finally, that secret self wasn't trapped in imagination. She was real, standing, breathing, moving. And yet, even as I reveled in it, the unease didn't fade. Freedom, I was learning, had a cost. Every thrill came with a shadow. Every heartbeat of joy carried the echo of fear. And as the music played and I twirled once more, a strange thought crept in, quiet but sharp enough to cut through the calm. What if Isabella already knew? What if she was testing me? The night had turned strange, too still, too watchful. Even the city's usual hum felt muted, as if it were waiting. The glass of wine on the coffee table had gone warm. My reflection in the window had become a ghost, Mara caught halfway between illusion and confession. I should have changed back hours ago. I told myself I would, but every time my hands reached for the zipper, something inside me resisted. The idea of erasing Mara felt unbearable, like drowning a part of myself that had just learned to breathe. Then came the sound. A key turning in the lock. Every nerve in my body went white-hot. No. It couldn't be. My mind scrambled through excuses, maybe it was the neighbor, maybe the wrong door, but deep down I already knew. The faint jingle of the keychain, the rhythm of the lock. It was Isabella. She was home. Early. The wineglass slipped from my hand, shattering against the floor. Red droplets spattered across the white rug like evidence. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe. Marco. Her voice floated through the door, soft, uncertain. Hey, the lights are on, you still awake? I panicked. My body acted on instinct. I rushed toward the bedroom, but my heel caught on the rug, nearly sending me sprawling. I yanked off one shoe, then the other, heart pounding as the front door creaked open behind me. She stepped inside. I could hear the sound of her coat rustling, the clack of her keys hitting the counter. Marco. Another pause. Her voice sharpened slightly. Are you here? I froze in the bedroom doorway. Every escape route closed in my mind. I could hide, but how long? The smell of perfume, the wine, the scattered makeup, it all screamed confession. The mirror on the wall reflected my panic. My makeup was smudged, hair messy, lipstick cracked. I didn't look like a man. I didn't even look like someone pretending. I looked real. Too real. And for the first time, I didn't know which version of me terrified me more. Her footsteps approached the hallway. Each one landed like a drumbeat counting down to disaster. Think. Think. I tore open the dresser, fumbling for a hoodie, something, anything, to cover myself. The zipper snagged on the dress. My fingers slipped. My pulse raced so hard I felt dizzy. The door creaked open behind me. Marco, are you? The sentence never finished. Silence. Her reflection appeared beside mine in the mirror. For one suspended second, neither of us moved. Her eyes went wide, her lips parting just slightly. The expression wasn't disgust. It wasn't anger. It was something worse, shock. Isabella, I whispered, my voice trembling, foreign in the stillness. I can explain. But she didn't speak. She just looked. Her gaze moved from my face to the pearls, to the scattered brushes on the table, to the high heels abandoned by the rug. The room became a gallery of secrets. Finally, she exhaled, a sound halfway between a laugh and disbelief. This is what you've been hiding. I swallowed hard. Please. It's not. Not what it looks like. She stepped forward, her voice calm but trembling at the edges. Marco, I've seen plenty of things in my life, but this? She gestured vaguely. You're dressed like. I don't even know what to call this. My throat went dry. Like me, I said quietly. Her eyes snapped to mine. The silence that followed was razor-sharp. Like you? She repeated, the words tasting strange on her tongue. So, this isn't a joke. I shook my head. No. She stared at me for a long time. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, slicing through the space between us. Then she let out a small, broken laugh. God. I thought you were cheating on me. The words hit like a slap. What? I blinked. Isabella, no. She raised a hand. I found the lipstick stain last week. The perfume on your shirt. I thought. Her voice cracked. I thought there was another woman. There is. I whispered before I could stop myself. But she's me. Her eyes widened, the realization flickering across her face like lightning. She looked at me again, really looked, and for the first time, I saw confusion give way to understanding. And then pain. Marco, she said softly, almost pleading. Why didn't you tell me?
Tears stung my eyes. Because I didn't know how. Because I didn't want to lose you.
Because I didn't even know who I was. I expected anger. Instead, she turned away, pacing. Her breathing quickened, hands trembling. I don't, she stopped, pressing her palm against her temple. I don't even know what to think. She looked at me again, her voice breaking. How long has this been going on?
Months, I said honestly. Maybe longer. I didn't mean to hide it from you.
Every time I wanted to tell you, I got scared. Scared of me?
No, I said.
Scared of losing the version of you who loves me.
That silenced her.
For a moment, there was only the faint hum of the city through the window. The air felt electric, charged with everything we hadn't said. Finally, she spoke, voice small. Do you love me, Marco?
I do, I said instantly.
Then why does it feel like you're falling in love with someone else?
The question broke something inside me.
Because, I said, voice trembling, that someone else has been trapped inside me my entire life. And when I become her, I'm not running away from you. I'm trying to meet myself.
Her face crumpled.
God, Marco, you sound like you rehearsed this.
Maybe I did, I whispered.
Every night.
A long silence stretched between us.
She looked at the pearls around my neck, then at the tears forming on my mascaraed lashes. I could see her struggling, between love, betrayal, and bewilderment. I don't know if I can understand this, she said finally, her tone soft but honest. But I want to.
Something inside me cracked open.
Hope. Relief.
Fear. I took a small step forward. Then ask me. I'll tell you everything.
But before she could respond, a knock came at the door. Both of us froze.
It was late, past midnight.
The sound came again, louder this time.
Who is that? She whispered.
I don't know. Panic flickered across her face. Marco, you can't. She stopped herself, looking at me again, really looking, as if trying to decide what name fit this version of me.
You can't be seen like this. I hesitated.
Then what do I do?
Hide, she whispered.
I grabbed the nearest jacket and slipped behind the bedroom door.
My heart hammered as I listened.
Isabella walked to the door, her footsteps cautious.
The knock came again. Who is it? She called.
Building management,
a man's voice said.
We had a report of water leaking from your unit.
My chest went cold. The spilled wine. She opened the door slightly.
It's fine, she said quickly. False alarm. We need to check to be sure.
I said it's fine,
she snapped, trying to close the door.
But the man stepped forward.
From my narrow hiding place, I could see everything through the mirror's reflection, his flashlight sweeping across the floor, pausing at the stain near the rug.
The shattered glass. The faint smell of perfume.
And then his gaze shifted toward the bedroom doorway. Toward me.
Our eyes met in the mirror. Time stopped. He blinked.
Confusion flickered across his face as he took in the sight, the makeup, the dress, the trembling figure half hidden in shadow. Sorry, he stammered, backing away. Didn't mean to, intrude.
He left quickly. The door shut. Silence.
Isabella turned to me slowly, hand pressed to her mouth. Well, she said faintly, now someone else knows. I couldn't tell if she was horrified or amused. We stared at each other, the absurdity of it sinking in. Then she exhaled, shaking her head. This is insane.
I tried to laugh, but it came out as a sob.
Yeah, I whispered. It is. She crossed the room, stopping just a foot away.
Her voice softened. I don't know where this goes, Marco. I don't know what it means for us.
Neither do I said. But for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm not pretending. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. You look different.
Scared.
Beautiful, maybe. I don't even know. Say it again, I whispered. Beautiful.
She gave a shaky laugh.
You're impossible.
I smiled faintly.
Not me anymore.
That made her pause.
Her expression softened into something unreadable, part sadness, part wonder.
"No," she said quietly.
"Not you anymore." The clock ticked once, twice. Then she whispered, "Take off the wig."
My breath caught. "Why?" "I just need to see you," she said.
"Whoever that is." My fingers trembled as I lifted the wig free. My real hair, messy and flat, fell against my temples. I looked in the mirror again, and so did she. We stood there, both searching for the man, the woman, the truth between us.
Neither of us found it.
The mirror showed two people staring at the ruins of their secrets, trying to build something out of the wreckage. Then Isabella reached out, touched my hand.
"Let's start with honesty," she said softly.
"The rest, we'll figure out."
Her touch lingered. Warm. Real.
For the first time, I didn't feel like I was hiding. But deep down, beneath the quiet relief, a darker thought stirred, one that would follow me long after that night.
Freedom always costs something.
And as I looked into the mirror, I realized the person staring back wasn't Marco pretending to be Mara, or Mara hiding behind Marco.
It was both. It was me. Not me anymore. Just me. Morning came too soon.
The city outside my window looked unchanged, but everything inside me was different. The wine stain had dried into the rug, faint but visible. A mark that wouldn't wash away.
Just like me.
Isabella was sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, her hair messy from a sleepless night. Between us, silence stretched like a wall, soft, fragile, impossible to cross. She looked at me once, then down at the cup of coffee in her hands. "So," she said quietly, "what happens now?"
I swallowed hard. "I don't know."
That was the truth, the only thing I had left. My reflection in the dark screen of the TV stared back at me. The smeared makeup from last night was gone, but a ghost of Mara still lingered in my face, a softness that hadn't been there before, a gentleness that refused to fade. "I can't pretend anymore," I said finally.
"Not with you."
"Not with myself."
Her hands tightened around the mug. "And what does that mean, Marco? Are you leaving? Changing? What do you want me to say?"
"I don't want to lose you," I whispered. She looked at me then, really looked. "But you already did, didn't you?"
The words hit like ice.
She stood, walked toward the window, pulling the curtains open. Sunlight poured in, harsh and golden. It lit the dust in the air, every little particle floating between us, visible now.
"Do you love her?" she asked without turning. I frowned. "Who?"
"Mara." Her name sounded strange in Isabella's mouth, not mocking, just heavy.
"Real."
I hesitated. My mouth opened, closed again. Then I whispered, "Yes."
Silence. She turned around slowly. Her eyes glistened.
"Then I can't compete with her."
"It's not about competing," I said quickly.
"It's about understanding."
"No, Marco," she said softly.
"It's about choosing." That single word, choosing, echoed through me. Because I knew she was right. I couldn't live in both worlds forever. The person I was, Marco, had always belonged to her. But Mara
belonged to no one.
I stepped closer. "You said we could figure it out."
She nodded faintly. "I did. And I meant it."
"But figuring it out doesn't mean it will stay the same." She reached for my hand, then stopped halfway.
Her voice trembled.
"Do you even want to be Marco anymore?" The question cut deeper than any accusation. I wanted to say yes, to make her stay, to make it easy. But lying now would destroy everything we'd rebuilt. "No," I said finally, barely above a whisper.
"I don't." Her breath caught.
She blinked rapidly, turning away before I could see her tears. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The hum of the fridge, the ticking clock, every sound felt louder, crueler. Then she said, "Then maybe this is where we let each other go."
The room swayed.
"Isabella." "I love you," she said, voice breaking.
"But I can't love a ghost."
"Not one that keeps changing its name." I stood frozen, tears burning behind my eyes as she walked to the door. Her fingers lingered on the handle. She turned one last time, eyes soft, voice trembling.
"Find out who you are, Marco. Or Mara. Whoever you choose to be.
Just don't hide anymore." And then she was gone.
The door closed with a sound that felt too final.
For a long time, I didn't move. The sunlight reached across the room, touching the pearls on the vanity, the same ones I had worn when she found me. They glimmered faintly, as if they still remembered her touch. Slowly, I walked to the mirror. The face looking back at me wasn't the man she fell in love with, nor the woman I used to become in secret. It was something else, raw, new, fragile. I picked up the pearls and clasped them around my neck. My reflection smiled, small, uncertain. Not a disguise. A decision. My phone buzzed. A message. From Isabella. When you're ready to be honest, truly honest, call me. Maybe I'll still be here. I read it 3 times. My chest ached with something between hope and grief. Outside, the city moved on as if nothing had changed. But I knew everything had. I opened the window. The breeze carried the faint scent of rain. Somewhere far below, people were laughing, living, not knowing that upstairs, someone was finally learning how to exist. I whispered to my reflection, the name that had always been both a curse and a promise. Mara. And for the first time, the name didn't feel like a secret. It felt like truth. Like freedom. A single tear slid down my cheek. I didn't wipe it away. Because this time, I wasn't crying for loss. I was crying for the life that was finally beginning. The screen fades to black. Then, a faint echo of Isabella's voice. Find out who you are, before it's too late. The title appears one last time, pulsing in silence.